I never believed the stories about Hollow Creek until I found myself walking its cracked road under a sky that seemed too dark for the hour. I told myself I was just curious, that exploring the abandoned houses at the edge of town was harmless, but deep down I think I wanted to feel fear, to taste it in the back of my throat and know I was alive. The first house I entered was silent except for the faint creak of wood beneath my steps. It smelled of dust and mold, the kind of rot that makes the air thick. The walls were covered in peeling wallpaper, the design barely visible, and each room looked like it had been emptied in a rush, as if the owners fled without looking back. I reached the staircase and felt a chill roll through me. The banister was sticky with something I couldn't name, and though I wiped my hand on my jeans, the sensation clung to my skin like oil. Upstairs, the hallway stretched longer than it should have. I know it sounds impossible, but with every step forward the corridor seemed to stretch further away. Doors lined both sides, and yet none of them would open. The handles turned, but the frames wouldn't give, as if something on the other side was holding them shut. I whispered hello without meaning to, and immediately regretted it. The air shifted, heavy and aware, like I had woken something that had been listening all along. I heard a faint scratching, not from one place but everywhere, behind every wall and beneath the floorboards. It moved with me, like it was following, tracking the rhythm of my breath. I hurried back down the stairs, but when I reached the bottom the front door was gone. In its place was another hallway, darker, narrower, the wallpaper shredded like claw marks. I backed away but the space behind me collapsed into shadow until I was forced forward. My phone's flashlight flickered, barely cutting through the blackness, and that's when I saw her. A girl, standing at the far end of the hall, hair hanging in tangled strands, face pale like paper. She didn't move, didn't blink, but I swear her mouth was opening wider than should be possible, stretching into something inhuman. I stumbled backward, heart hammering, and when I blinked she was suddenly closer, halfway down the corridor, her neck twisting at a sharp angle like it was broken long ago. I tried to scream but no sound came out. My body wouldn't obey me, my legs frozen as she crept closer without stepping, as though the hallway itself was delivering her to me. My phone slipped from my hand and the light went out. In the dark I could only hear her breathing, ragged and wet, inches from my ear. I don't remember falling but I woke up on the floor, my cheek pressed against the warped wood, my body shaking as though I'd been dragged into a fever. The girl was gone, but her breath lingered in the air, thick and sour, clinging to my skin like smoke. My phone was lying a few feet away, the screen cracked, the light flickering on and off as if it too was afraid. I grabbed it, desperate for any glow, and the beam fell on words carved into the wall. Get out. They were jagged, deep, as if something with broken nails had written them one letter at a time, and beneath the fresh marks the wallpaper bled. I forced myself down the corridor, every muscle screaming, but the space twisted with each step. Rooms shifted positions, doorways vanished behind me, and no matter which direction I turned I ended up in the same hallway. That was when I realized the house wasn't a house at all but a trap, a maze designed to keep me inside until I stopped struggling. In the corner of my eye shadows crawled along the walls, figures twitching and stretching like insects under glass, their heads jerking in violent spasms whenever I tried to look directly at them. I shouted, begged, cursed, but the sound of my voice was swallowed before it reached the end of the hall. Only one door finally opened, creaking wide as if inviting me in. Against every instinct I stepped inside. The room was small, empty except for a mirror that stood in the center. My reflection stared back, but something was wrong. Its eyes were too dark, too wide, and the grin that spread across its face wasn't mine. It raised its hand when I didn't, beckoning me closer, and before I could retreat its fingers pressed against the other side of the glass. The surface rippled like water and a cold hand shot out, wrapping around my wrist. I screamed and pulled but the strength was impossible. Inch by inch I was dragged forward, the glass bending around my body, swallowing me whole. The last thing I saw before my face disappeared beneath the surface was my own reflection stepping free, stretching, adjusting itself like it had been waiting to wear me. I woke up again outside Hollow Creek, the sun blinding, my phone dead in my pocket. For a moment I thought I had escaped, but when I passed a store window my reflection didn't look back. It just smiled.